Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Bikini in the Brain. As always, I am with the one and only Ashley Kaltwasser.
Hello, everyone.
And I thought today, what better person to talk to than you about going over what it takes to go from amateur to pro?
Yeah, takes more than what people realize. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, it'll probably take you a little longer to get a pro card in bikini anyway. But there's this misconception that we just, popped up on the scene and start killing it.
Yeah.
Right from the amateur ranks right to pro. Now we're at the Olympia and just killing it. So that is not the case for me and not the case for most people, I would say. So I think it's nice to kind of backtrack a bit and go over what it took to get to this point and the struggles and hurdles that I've had to deal with as well as Adam, because Adam, all these things the things I struggle with can be also applied to you as a coach. You kind of climbed your way up the ranks and now top of the top. So this can apply to bikini competitions, this can apply to coaching. This could apply to anything really.
Yeah.
Anything in your job.
Yeah. And I think with that, I think it's the first part is laying it out and saying, what is it really going to take for me? And talking to you today is you're saying, what does it really take for me? Am I doing enough to do that? Am I doing what it's going to take for me to accomplish my goal? And the other thing I think is important is saying, okay, what will it do for me when I get there? Why am I chasing this goal too? So a lot of times I think people don't even think about that. Yeah. So we'll go over all those things today. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. Yeah.
Jump right in.
Yeah.
So as far as like getting started in the sport, that is a question many people would love to know, I'm sure. How did you even find bikini? We all have a different story, how we came about bikini competitions. For me, I've always been an athlete my entire life. I was a gymnast, and in college or in track, 400-meter hurdles were my sport or my event in the sport of track and field. So I come from a very athletic background. So when I completed my college journey with track, there's really not much you can do with that unless go to the Olympics if you're really, really good, which I wasn't that good. I was good, but I wasn't like Olympic level good. So, it's kind of like a dead end. And myself being a former collegiate athlete, I'm like confused what I should do with my life. I'm like, I've always had a track meet on the weekend or a gymnastics meet on the weekend, a goal to work for, something to have, a goal to have to give my all every day. And I was lacking that when I finished my track career because, again, there's really no place to go. I can run 5K races and that's fine. It's fun, but it's not like a competitive track race, right? So from being, I guess, I felt like lost. Like my identity was taken away because I wasn't training for anything. I was just bartending at the time. So right out of college, just started bartending. Okay. I would stay up very late, slinging drinks, slept in. I didn't have the healthiest lifestyle, honestly.
I forgot that you did that.
Yeah.
So funny.
Like my diet back then would be like, I would have like a Snicker bar for breakfast. I'm not even kidding. I'd eat like a Snicker bar for breakfast, skip lunch, have like a burger for dinner and like a Sex on the Beach drink or something. I don't know, a mixed cocktail. I was not the healthiest coming out of college, that's for sure. I kind of lost my, I guess you could say I lost my fitness mindset a bit. And that's what happens when you're not, training for things. So I just felt so lost. I lost my identity. Luckily, I was able to keep in touch with my former track coach from high school. And I noticed on Facebook, she would post these like check-in photos and she was training for something and I always saw her working out. So I like followed her journey. She was a figure athlete and I thought it was like the coolest thing. And I was so intrigued by this. So I went to the gym that she was at and I met with the coach and everything. And through the research, I found out there's also bikini too. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm more fit for a bikini. Although I really admired the figure girls, I was like, bikini looks so fun. I think I can do that. So I started training for bikini. And it only took me 8 weeks to prep.
Yeah.
Because that was bikini back then.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying that
background. Yeah.
I'm not saying that was like the best of physique, obviously. I just a little heads up, guys. I got 14th place in my height class the first show, and that was the Arnold Amateur. So I'm not saying the 8-week prep was sufficient.
Yeah.
But I don't think I look too bad.
You had some great abs. You had some great abs.
I've always had abs.
Yeah, you had some great
Always
abs.
had abs. Always had hamstrings.
She showed me her picture. Was it yesterday
Oh,
or Saturday?
yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah.
We all went to dinner. We had a big 15 people at dinner from the posing event. And I looked at it and I was like, Ashley, like her makeup. I was like,
so bad.
I didn't want to say anything because I was like, she was like, my makeup was so, I was like, oh, thanks for saying it because it's the first thing. But it was good to see because so many people make mistakes. So it's good to see that even like the GOAT would make mistakes even back then.
Gosh, you guys have no idea how many mistakes I made.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, but you know what? We learn from it.
Me too. On big stages, me too,
Yeah, it's part of the process. And you should all know this. You're going to make mistakes. I promise you. And even when you turn pro, you're still going to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. Hopefully as time goes on, you make less of them, but it is still a thing that happens. So please do not ever expect perfection.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
With the coaches too. Like that's what I was saying where I've made them too. Is the coaches too. You're going to make them. You're going to bring someone in too lean. You're going to fill someone up too much with carbs. You're going to miss your timing. Something's going to happen. It's just part of it. And you get better and better and better at recognizing when you're doing these things as you go on. But especially like in the come up, like you're overshooting, you're overanalyzing, you're under, like, it's just so many. Now it's like, it's pretty easy. It's very rare now, but still possible, still things can happen where it's like my fault,
Yeah.
And so what's cool is like a lot of well, I know one in particular, my friend, I won't say his name, but everyone know who probably I'm talking about. But when he makes a mistake, like he'll post and be like, this is my bad. Like I love that he's like responsible about it. He's like, this is my bad. She was too lean and this was my bad. And I'll get it fixed for the next time. I'm like, that's awesome. It's a cool thing. Cause there's just going to be times where you do it, all the way when you're coming up, especially as an athlete, like maybe doing like 3 shows in and you're just not sure yet where you're supposed to be just over analyzing everything. Yeah. So be okay, be comfortable with making those mistakes. We all make them.
Yes. Especially like in the beginning, allow yourself the grace knowing that, hey, this is not going to be perfect. It's not going to be anywhere near perfect my first time, but I'm getting on stage and there's something to be said there. So that's the starting point, just getting to the stage, and as time goes on, of course, make those improvements. Curious, Adam, how did you even find coaching? How did your transition from maybe giving advice to your friends who compete, how did that turn into coaching?
What's crazy? This is like a really weird how it all kind of started. So I started working in nutrition. Well, actually what happened was first I was working for my family's grocery store. I actually ended up getting fired from my dad's grocery store, family business, but so I got fired from them when I was like, I think I was 16 one day. And then I was already lifting weights in the gym. And then my friend, Paul, who worked out at the gym, owned a supplement store called Nutrisport. And so I asked him if I could work there because I just got fired. He was like, yeah, we can use you in the mornings. I was like, sweet. So I started working there at Nutrisport. It was like during summer. It was like $6 an hour. And I was so like, I was always kind of like to myself. All I ever did was lift weights, And so I was always like kind of to myself. And I wanted to be cool with the bodybuilders, right? So I wanted to be like, I want to be part of their clique, and I was like 16, so these are all these big bodybuilders in Southern California. And so I started reading up on anything I could get my hands on. And back then there was no, Google and YouTube. It was like just starting. So there wasn't any information unless I had to buy books. So I read all these books. It was about all things supplements, all things, with the bodybuilders, it was like PD things too. And I just knew so much. All I did was studied every magazine, everything that come out. And so I just had the answers. Anytime they had questions and then they're asking about something, I would have the best answers. I was like, I just want to wow them. I'm going to wow them. And then they're going to trust me to like tell them what to take. And then just slowly transitioned from me like wowing these bodybuilders with like, this kid knows a lot. This kid knows a lot about these supplements and stuff. Where then they were started, what should I, when they started being like, what should I take for this? And I was like, I'm in, I'm in here because I'm the guy, And so for me, it was like just trying to be cool with these guys and get in their club to the point where I got some of the better guys to trust what I was saying. And cause I just had more information than everyone. And then that turned into, how do you think how do you think I'm ready for a stage in like 8 weeks? You think I'm on pace for that? And the next thing you know, I'm in the gym in the Nutrisport, 16, 17 years old, looking at these bodybuilders telling, yeah, you're like, you look like 8 weeks out. You should probably pull your calories here. Let's do this. It was like little advice. And then it just turned into, when I turned 18, I became a trainer. And then it just one thing led to another, and it just became a coach. I was never intended to do like just female divisions. That was a whole thing that wasn't my intention.
Especially bikini, because that's like further away.
It was like
even further away.
Polar end of what I was like training to do. You know, it was all bodybuilders. That's all there was. I didn't even work with like any women really back then, like in 18 or 2018, 2020, and 1998 in 2000, I guess I should say. And then what happened when bikini came out, and I moved to Colorado, I went to a different gym called Club USA. I was working with guys in men's physique and bodybuilding at 24 Hour Fitness.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went to Club USA, I ended up getting like a bikini competitor, and then I got like 4 of her friends, and then I did like my first bikini competition prep for these girls. And I thought it was so fun.
Yeah.
I've always grown up around girls. I didn't have like a guy in my life, and it was always my mom. I lived with my mom, my aunt, my sister, even while my pets were girls. And so I don't know, just always been around girls. Right. And so just like everyone was like my little sister type of thing. Right. And then I had these 4 girls that were in Colorado State, and it was like, I forget what year it was, but one of them won the whole show. And then the other 3 won their class. Mm-hmm. So I went like 4 for 4 out of 6 classes total. Like there's 6 classes. I won 4 of them. And then we won the overall and got like 2nd overall too. And so then after that, it was just like all these bikini girls came in. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. How many there's way more bikini girls than bodybuilders. And so it just slowly went from all men's team to like all bikini team. And I was like, I guess I'm a bikini coach now. And as things evolved, you have to really specialize and look at bikini more. And like, you have to really study the sport. Yeah. And when you're doing it so much, you kind of run out of time to look at the other divisions so thoroughly, so I'd rather master one division, or now 2, fit, model, and bikini, because they're, kind of a merged division from prior. And so that's kind of how it ended up being that way. But yeah, I really like it. I wouldn't change it any other way now, because it's just fun. I enjoy it. So
you think you would prepping bikini competitors are funner than like figure and beyond, though? Is it because we're more pageanty?
It's you know what it is, honestly, too. There's the main thing is to be like a men's coach these days, you're really putting guys at health risk. Yeah. And that's kind of when I stopped coaching men, is that I also had bodybuilders getting ready for like masters. Actually, the last guy I coached, like bodybuilder, was a masters nationals guy. And he got to check-ins. He was in the weight class above. And then he said, the guys are too big in light heavyweights. I'm going to cut to middles. And I was like, dude, you can't cut to middles. That's crazy. Like he's like at the lower end of light heavies. But he was nowhere. He was like way too far off. He was already at check-ins to make middles. Like it was a good amount of weight. He's like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to take a diuretic and sit in the sauna and make weight. And I'm like, dude, you could die doing that. That's like, I don't want to be any part of this. He's like, well, I'm doing it with you or without you. And I'm like, then you're doing it without you. Like, I'm texting you now, so I have proof that I told you, do not do this. Yes. And so after realizing these guys will like kind of like do what it takes kind of things. And like, if he didn't have that, well, dude, if he didn't have that conversation with me and he didn't tell me he was doing it, he just did it without telling me. Like, cause that happens, like it comes all back on me. I don't know the legal liabilities I'm in. Of course I want to be part of, like, I wouldn't know. I'd be like, did I do that? I don't want to sleep. I can't sleep at night with knowing that I could possibly do that. And I was like, dude, in bikini, I don't got to worry about any of that. Yeah. 0 of that. Like, everyone's healthy. Everyone's fine. Even though it's extreme, it's nothing like that, and then I was like, okay, I'm just done with that stuff. Like, that is too much, So yeah, that now it's like, it's light and fun. And now it's like, it's different things, it's a different thing. So, yeah. And I don't know, I really enjoy it. It's fun. And well,
I'm glad you took the bikini route. Thank you. I mean, thank you.
It's fun. I'm like, I'm a little older now. So I'm like not at the like old guy yet, but I'm like all the girls are kind of younger. So it's like a different feeling than it used to be, you know? So it's more fun. We had a class there this weekend with like 40 girls.
It was a great turnout. Thank you for everyone who showed up.
It was like 40, but I'm like, now I'm at the point where, I'm in this, like, I'm not training as much anymore. I'm kind of like that semi-retired, still doing like my 20 hours or so a week, where I want to give out a bunch of information to people. And I was like, hey, I'm going to give you guys the secrets these times and come out to these workshops. And I'm going to teach you about exercise and all these things. And it went better than I thought it was going to go. Yeah. And it's nice to be able to give back, because of the community has given me so much. So now I'm at this place. That's where I'm at, so.
The point I knew that was 100% sure that you've made it was when I was working with you for, I want to say like a year and a half, maybe a year. And you showed up to work one day in your onesie. And that's when I'm like, he's He's good.
It was like a pajama onesie. We were so extra back then. When we were so extra back then. We were so extra. That was honestly so fun though. When me and you we were first so stupid together.
I know,
we
we
did so
did
much
stupid
stupid shit.
videos.
Oh my gosh. We did a lot of that was a different time, but that was fun. I don't know what it was. That was like for like 3 years.
Goofy.
We were just goofed out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always tell people, it took me 13 years. Like everyone's like, how did you get there? And I'm like, dude, it took me 13 years before you even knew who I was. And then you knew who I was. It's like it took that long of grinding all the time. That's the same thing it takes to be a pro. Yeah. Some of you, it's going to take that many years, especially in bikini these days. I mean, it's a like for most of you, it's like a 5-year physique. Like most of you to get pro card, it's like a 5-year physique. Some of you, it's like 5 to 7. So the girls that are getting there in like 2 to 3, really, really genetically blessed. But
and even some of those that you see at the top, you think that they're a new competitor, but if you look at their background, it's been much longer than what you realize. It's just they didn't start doing well until recently because it took them that amount of time to build up. So a lot of times we will think that, oh, this person is a 2-year physique or 3-year. No, that's just because you noticed them 2 or 3 years ago. But in reality, they were training way prior to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of these are, even some bikini girls, you see them 10 plus years in and you're like, oh,
that's like me, but everyone knows I've been around for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. But really, if you didn't compete back then, like you just got to the point of capping out bikini muscle, right?
Yeah.
Like you just got there, 2 years ago where they said, okay, you don't need any more muscle.
I want to say last year was the first year I started hearing like, okay, I was finally big enough last year.
Is that crazy?
But to be fair, my scenario is a little different because I kind of grew with the sport rather than having to catch up to the sport because I kind of was there the whole time.
Yeah.
So that benefited me.
We always say Ashley's been like the perfect genetics for whatever the current standard is of like the division, like pretty close to it.
If it gets any more muscular though,
yeah,
I don't know how much I can keep up.
Like when it's changed and they were like, oh, we want more hourglass legs X frame. And I was like, oh, good. You don't have an X frame. And they were like, we want more glutes and more. I'm like, oh, great. She's got your great glute development. Like, oh, we don't want as big of shoulders like back in the fit model kind of days. You're like, oh, that's good. She doesn't have that big shoulder.
Yeah,
like, I was like,
I can kind of morph, I can kind of morph a little bit. But luckily, I've been good to go for everything that's been thrown at me so far. So
yeah.
And luckily, I've been on the up and up. So
yeah.
What the heck? How did I do that?
I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, how do you do this?
I don't know.
Like it's funny. I think everyone still thinks like after the Olympians, we're like, oh, like, of course we did that. Like, of course she did. She got up there and got top 5. Like every time we're like, damn, you did it again.
Every time I shock myself. I'm still here.
Right after the stage, we're like, we don't like, it's so weird. We're always like, how did that happen? Like, this is crazy. We're still doing it. Like,
because there's something about the Olympia and it's the biggest of the big shows. Perhaps it has something to do with, I'm just a pressure player.
Yeah.
Although I hate pressure because it comes with stress, for whatever reason, I thrive under it. So I typically do well at the Olympia, but
you show up.
I show up. I bring my best. Yeah. So
that's a good scenario.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. It's never easy though. It's always stressful.
Yeah.
It's always the hardest time of the year, but
every Olympia, I'm just like, if I get in the first call out, we're good. Everything else is icing on the cake. That is my thought process. There's only been one time in my whole career, pro career, I should say, only one time in my whole pro career that I was not first call out. One time. I think it was like 2019 Olympia. Something like, or 2020 Olympia. Because for a time, when I made my comeback, I came from 4th, then I got 5th, and then 6th, and then 7th. And then after the 2027th place, I'm like, I can do better than this. And I don't know, something sparked, and I just stepped it up. And then the next 3 years, I got 3rd place. So 3rd place in 2021, 3rd place in 2022, 3rd place in 2023, and then last year, 2024. I scrapped a 2nd. I got that 2nd. I don't know how I got it, but I'm very thankful I did. And
it's right there.
I've never gotten a 2nd. I've never got a silver at the Olympia. So
yeah,
I'm getting a lot of variety.
Yeah, you have the 3 golds, 3 bronze,
and 1 silver.
And 1 silver.
Yeah. I won't mind more silvers.
Yeah.
I'm or bronze.
Yeah.
Those are great.
Yeah.
No complaint. What I'm trying to say is no complaints.
Yeah.
We're doing good things over here.
So as far as, what what it's going to take for you to go through that process of going from amateur to pro. All right. So some of the things you have to kind of check off your list and things that you're going to have to understand is that it is going to be earned. It's not, you don't, just because you work out hard, everyone works out hard. You don't deserve it more than someone else. Everyone's working out hard. So it's going to have to be earned. I think that's where a lot of people kind of fall off throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
In prep, everyone's on point. I don't see very many people who are kind of slacking when they're in prep. It's pretty rare. It might be like a week or two, like in the whole prep. But when we're talking the other 8 months of the year, that's where the biggest difference is between people who get it fast and people who pretty much never get it. Like that's the real big thing that you have to look at and say to yourself, okay, am I doing enough? Did I do enough today to get to my goal? Whether it's a bikini pro being your goal, or whether it's, being a good, whatever, husband, or be a good businessman, or whatever it is. Like you have to ask yourself, did I do enough today to reach my target goal? Did I contribute to that long-term goal? I think you're very good about doing that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be very daunting to think of your goal being so far away. Oh my God, I still got 15 pounds to lose before I can even get on stage. Just go day by day, do what you can do that day. Check all the boxes you can for that day. Don't worry so much about the future in a daunting way, but you can kind of remind yourself of the ultimate goal, right? I think it's important to always remind ourselves as the ultimate goal, but the way you structure your day, just get by for today. Do what you can do today. Check all those boxes. Did you do everything you could possibly do? Then you won the day. So all those little wins add up. They do.
Yeah. And understand too, along the way, there's going to be setbacks. It's just the way it's going to be, whether it's an injury, a surgery, illness,
mental, someone like gets divorced, or so many things can happen. And maybe it's not even directly related to you. It could be something going on in your family. It's a distraction. For me, I do, when I start prep, I really like to keep my circle tight, because as bad as it sounds, like bringing in outside things can bring in drama too. So it's like my comfy circle of people that I communicate with, and I know that they understand me. I'm not, there's no surprises. Sometimes I might not be as responsive, and it's, because I'm in prep. But if you find that there are people in your lives that maybe they're good people, but they're just drama magnets, is what I would like to describe it. Just when they're around, bad things happen, or, so I do like to be very careful about who I communicate with and interact with during the prep time so that I can focus.
Yeah.
And that could be a very helpful tip for you guys, to eliminate maybe some of that outside drama.
Yeah, I call them energy vampires.
Yes, that's a good way to describe it. Yeah. Energy vampires. Yes.
Just suck it out of you, and you're just like, oh, it's so exhausting being around them. So
and they could be great people. Maybe it's not even their fault. It's just it is what it is. For whatever reason, they don't got it together.
Yeah, that's how it is. And everyone has those people in life where you want to support them, but when it's getting to the point where it's taking away from your happiness and your goals and your joy, then it's like, okay, I'm going to minimize how much I'm involving with them, so
absolutely.
It's, this is the thing people, I think, don't think about. All these little things matter. And I think with our sport, it's a little different in terms of the mindset than other professional sports. And I'm like, to get to the NBA, to get to the NHL, and to get to these things, like it takes so much, to get there. And our sport is a professional sport too. When you're at the top, you're going to have a great living. You're going to be, famous in our world, of course. You're going to have, things are going to be set for you. You're going to be set pretty much for life when you get to that like top level. So of course it's going to be difficult. Everyone wants that spot. And I think that people don't think of it as the same way as like an NHL guy or an Olympic track person. Like you've seen Olympic track people probably. I've seen, I played with NHL players growing up, and it's just what they put in. It's like, okay, that's why I didn't make it. That's all it was just a different world like they lived in, and they put every single thing into it. And so when you talk about, going pro, you have to think about the mindset of, okay, I am trying to go pro in a sport that if I get to the top, I'll have basically everything made for me, ready for me, and my life's going to be set. So of course it's going to be hard. Other people are fighting me for that all around the world, just like they're fighting to get to, the NBA. And I need to take it just as seriously as me getting to the NBA. But the problem is is that most people only take it like they're trying to get to the NBA for 16 weeks a year. And that's where we run into an issue. And it's just not realistic for you to get to that top level without you putting in that year-round effort. And I think that's what people need to hear on this, is because it's just the truth of it. Most people just don't put in enough effort and are never going to get that pro card. But then they think they're going to get it every time they're in prep. I'm going to go to nationals after this. And I'm like, you didn't do what it takes to get to that next level. Yes. Sorry. It is what it is.
And somebody will say, oh, no, I did give it my all for 12 weeks. And I believe them. But there's much more, as you previously mentioned, way much more than that 12 weeks. In fact, that 12 weeks might be less important than the actual off season itself. So yeah, you did work as hard as you could for 12 weeks. Good job. But then again, there's a girl out there that gave it, at least 90% all year round, rather than just 100% for 12 weeks out of the year. Because do the math on that. It's not adding up. So look at what you're doing, not just when in prep, but throughout the year.
Yeah, I think that's a big one there too. Yeah. I've ran into that before, even with professional bikini competitors, where we ran into that wall. We're kind of like battling, and she's like, I just feel like it'll never be enough. Never be enough for you. And I'm like, your 12 weeks is enough. Like your 12 weeks is, but because we have to work so hard during these 12, it should never have to be this much even, that's the rest of the year is what I'm concerned with. Not this part of it. Like you can give me 12 weeks of effort, but it doesn't make up for, us needing to lose 30 pounds in 12 weeks. Like that's not how this works, Mm-hmm. So that's where I think people have that off and on switch. Mm-hmm. And like when I'm on, I am super on, I give everything. And I'm like, I understand that, but it's still not enough because of what you did at your starting point. It's not going to be enough to get you through to have that top level physique at the end of this with that huge transformation you did. Yeah. Which it sucks, but that's just the reality. If you're transforming in every show, losing 30 pounds in every show in a 16-week time frame, of course you're not going to be at your peak best of what you could be if you had an easier prep where you're full and you have energy the whole time to work out hard and you're not putting your body through this crazy stress, so of course you're going to look different at the end of that. So it's just something you guys all have to understand. And it's not supposed to be easy to get to the top of anything,
and you will have to make sacrifices. And as much as people say, you can still, go out and have fun during prep. Yeah, to a certain extent, but know that there's going to be limitations and everything comes at a cost. So yeah, you can go out to eat with your friends and maybe you get back at 11 p.m., but then you can't go to sleep to 2 a.m. And then that sets your day back and then you're less rested for your workout. So you see how things can kind of accumulate and, pick and choose your treats, I would say. Not to say you can't have them, but just be aware that you're going to have to make some sacrifices as the better you are or the better you want to be, the more you're going to have to give up. Unfortunately, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird concept in our sport where you have so many people out there will be promoting balance, but in other sports, they don't. They're just like, go hard, go hardcore, go hardcore. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you guys understand, like the guys at the top in all the other sports are telling you go hardcore if you want this, like Mamba mentality, like Kobe Bryant's Mamba mentality was all max effort all the time. Like I'll outwork you. Like that was always his thing. And he has he's famous for a couple of scenarios where he was just outworking people, even in just practice. Like he would just outwork them and stay longer than them just to prove to them, you're never going to be enough to outwork me. You'll never be able to outwork me. And I already have raw talent. So you're not going to be able to out-talent me. You're not going to be able to outwork me. And I'm always going to show up. Like that's like, that was why he was. And it's funny, you have like all these guys in those sports saying it's all work, it's all work, it's all work. But then in our sport, you get people that are like, oh, it's balance to get to the top. And I'm like, no, it's still a professional sport. Like to get to the top is going to be hard.
Balance will get you to an average.
Yeah. That's average. You're going to be
kind of what balance kind of is.
It is.
I guess it's equilibrium.
Yeah. We reward mediocrity and we celebrate mediocrity in the off seasons and stuff. And that's one of the things that I wish that our sport didn't do. But that's just the reality of things. And if you fall into that trap, watch how many girls fall into that trap and where they're at in, 5 years. It's just not usually where you'd want to be. So that's just something I would say, be cautious of too, for all of you out there that are part of that, and just understand that a lot of it comes from just kind of, being in like a little bit of a slump, right? Where you're not eating so good and you're kind of in this funk and you're not able to stay super motivated, and you find a girl who's also there and you're like, and then you kind of say, oh, see, it's okay because she does it too. And then it kind of builds this community of all these people that are doing it, not giving their all, and then kind of being like, well, this is what balance is. This is what you need to do. It's good for your mindset. And I'm like, guys, that's not how professional sports work. Like that's not, you think all these NBA guys are in the office, we just need to have balance during the summer because it'll start back up when the season is and we'll go hard again. I'm like, no, it's training all the time. Like they're trying to get better at their holes and in the off seasons. And, maybe it's not as hard, but they're still training on their holes, which is what we do in the off season, is train on our holes and weaknesses. Maybe your tie-ins need more work. That's time to train them, right? So same thing as NBA guys, when they can't show the free throw, they're in the off season practicing free throws. That's how it goes, So it's just one of those things where our sport, for some reason, goes that direction. And I don't know. I've never understood it. I've just never understood it.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at other sports too, like some of them, they'll have like camps where they won't even be able to like go home. They have to be in the, that's their job. 24/7 is training, eating. So they're very dedicated, and not saying that goes on the entire year, but it just gives you a little sneak peek of what other sports, how hardcore they are. I think what makes our sport a little hardcore is probably the diet.
Yeah.
I don't think many people complain about the training. They love to train. It's the diet that people struggle with. And it's, it can be a switch. You're eating one way your whole life, and then you have to eat prep food, and it can be very, not as a smooth transition. So it is nice to kind of slowly ease into it. But I will say, I've fallen victim to the word balance and wanting to kind of have the best of both worlds. And that's why I kind of took 2017 off. And people were in my ear saying, don't you just like want to live life a little bit? Like, you've been training and prepping for years. That sounds miserable. Come have fun. Like, live a little, go out on the weekends, have pizza, go out for a drink, live the normal people life. And I thought, you know what? Maybe they're right. Maybe I could be a little happier living this way. In 2016, I got 4th place at the Olympia, which that was quite a jump from 1st to 4th. So I was already kind of like, maybe it's time for a break anyway. But I definitely let that get to me. So in 2017, took the whole year off, put on a lot of weight for me. I know it might not be a lot for most people, but for me, 25 pounds was a lot to lose. It took me 6 months to lose 25 pounds, guys. I'm a little different, I guess, but it was not a happy year for me. And I can report back that, this balancing doesn't work for me. I'm like, you know what? I will say this. I don't want to be normal. So why did I let people talk me into being normal? Why would I want to be normal? That's boring.
Average. It's a completely.
I don't want to be known for being normal. I want to be freaking great. I want to be a legend. Okay. So why did I allow myself to fall victim of that? I don't know, but I learned my lesson, because when I came back, I've never been more motivated and grateful just to be on stage. So when I started prepping with you in 2018, it was like, wow, it's like, you don't know what you got till it's gone kind of thing. I took the whole year off. It did not make me any happier. It made it worse. And it did make me realize, wow, I should never be talked. How did I allow myself to get talked into like that? I don't know, but it happens. It happens to the best of us.
I'm glad you had that. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that a lot, because I think people need to hear that, because it's the reality of things. If you want to be great, you can't do average stuff.
Yeah.
You just can't.
In order to be great, you have to do things that people are not willing to do, and that means things that aren't fun.
Yeah.
You make sacrifices, but it's worth it. I would not have it any other way. I always say, so what? I don't go out for pizza and beer and stay up to 2 a.m. on the weekends, but you know what I get to do? I get to freaking fly to Japan. And my sponsors, freaking high tech, you guys are awesome. Take care of it. And I'm well taken care of and supported from this team. I have a great life.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Cinderella. And I almost let that go, because I let people like convince me that I was weird. I was an alien, and that if I just was a little more normal, I'd be happier. And I can't believe I let myself be convinced of that.
Yeah. I'm just so happy that you're just saying that out there. It really is good. I think it was really powerful, and I think people need to hear that. And it applies to, it applies to everything. It applies to me too. When I was training so much, I was training 60 plus hours, 60 plus sessions a week back then, 60 plus sessions a week on my feet. I couldn't even think about training 60 plus sessions a week, hour sessions back then. And it was like, why are you working so much? And I was like, at a certain point, I was like, why am I working so much? I don't really need to work this much, but it all led to me getting to the point where now I don't really need to work that much. Right. So it all has it has its payoff later on. It has its payoff later on. And like right now, your payoff is you get to travel, you get to live your dream. You don't have to have 100 clients or anything just to survive. Like you're very, don't train that many, you don't coach that many athletes. So you can concentrate on your coach, on your
I have
career.
a lot of, I can make my own, I call my own shots. If I want to do a show, I can do it, but I also have the freedom to not.
Yep.
I have variety. I have choice. I have a say. No one's telling me you have to be here from this time to this time and do exactly this. I'm on my own time, which is a very nice thing.
Yeah.
And
you have all the freedom. You have your financial freedom.
Yeah.
You have your work, your show freedom. You have your work freedom. I mean, it's just,
no one's holding me down. Nothing, no one and nothing is holding me down right now.
But you don't get those results without a lot of sacrifice originally. You don't get there. Yeah.
What sacrifices did you have to make, Adam, to get to where you're at?
Oh my, you did a lot. So I say the biggest one, the biggest one. Okay. So one of the things that was like the hardest one for me was there was a certain point, like I'm a pretty modest guy in terms of like what I spend and all these things. But one of the things was like, I just want to pay off my house one day, and I finally paid off my house. I was like, what year was it? 2016, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you were there. You stayed at the apartment.
The apartments.
Mm-hmm.
So you've upgraded since then. I've noticed.
I had it before that. Before that, I had a house. It was a beautiful house in Colorado. Upgraded all that. It was paid off, and I was so excited. But then I wanted to buy that building, that gym. So I sold everything. I sold everything that was of value to me, including my house. And
risky.
Yeah, I sold that. I just went from a nice house to a crappy apartment. Even there was a couple weeks where I had like in between where I didn't even have the apartment. And I was in the gym, that gym. And I kind of like I just kind of slept there because I had nowhere else to kind of go at the time. I was like in between places. So I had nothing. And I just put all that money into the gym because I couldn't get a loan for the gym. I had to buy the gym cash. So I had to sell my house to do it. So I bought the building and I had this, and I was like, I have friends that, I was still personal training people. I had a friend named Brian who was in the gym, who was a client. And he was like, I don't understand your business concept though. He's like, why would you buy a building that you're not going to sell memberships to and sell your house to do it? And you're not going to make any money with the building. I'm like, it's all vision, dude. Like what I want a place where I can have open like posing and have open team stuff. And it'll naturally like grow the team probably a little. It won't offset the cost of the building, of course, but it'll be like the best community I could create. And that in turn will like bring me more joy than the money will, for sure. Because the money just coming home to a house. I don't care what I come home to. As long as I got a place to live, I'm cool. But the joy of having like people coming in and having that community is going to be just something like no one's ever created. And that was like the vision. And then, that was probably the biggest one. It was really hard to say goodbye to that. And I still never made a dime at the prep center. I might have made a couple of dollars training a couple sessions here and there, but nothing like it. There's no members, there's no base. It's just a cost, So, but in the end, it was worth the sacrifice because, now if I didn't do that, open that one, I don't think I would have ever been in Vegas, because then you moved to Vegas and then we found this building for pennies on the dollar. And then I was like, well, man, this building's better than that building. And, I knew that I wasn't going to retire in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it just turned into, now I buy this building, which caused me to move out here. And, so everything just worked. It worked out, and it all was that sacrifice too, though it was a lot of financial sacrifice. Things came from it that I didn't expect. Like all that money grew too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I bought that building and then that money grew. And then I bought a couple houses out here, which I was just trying to like live in. I bought my first house and then I bought a house next to here because I thought, oh, it'll be cool to live next to here. And then that money grew. It was like all these things, like when you do good things from chase your passion, other things just naturally kind of come from it.
Yeah.
Like not intentionally. It's just like, I just wanted it for me, for the team. And now this is just worth that, so it's, so the sacrifices, whether it's like you sacrifice a lot with all of your sport and now you can live this great life. I sacrifice with my other things. And, now I'm in a spot where I'm living this great life where it just kind of, it all just paid itself off,
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy when you think about it.
And let it be known too, you can make a career from this sport, maybe not as an athlete, but as a coach or a mixture of different things. So for me, I guess I'm one of the rare ones I could probably just maintain as an athlete, but just know that I do have other forms of income, but it all revolves around fitness. So kind of like what you said, one thing becomes another thing that becomes another thing. And the more you kind of show up and show your face and just, I would say, generally just show enthusiasm, and things will come to you and people will be interested, and you just never know what comes of it. So it's nice to share these little nuggets of information, because you just never know what becomes of what you think is just a small idea becomes something much greater.
Yeah, it's a lot of times people say, "Oh, I got lucky," and I'm like, you kind of create your own luck though. Like you have to be in a position to get lucky. Like if you're not in a position to get lucky, you're not putting your face out there. You're not meeting new people. You're not, doing crazy things. Well, I wouldn't recommend selling your house to buy a gym that you're not making any money at, which was crazy at the time. But these things create your own luck, and the next thing you know, you get other things that come along with it. So, but if you don't give your all to the sport, you'll never know how good you'll be. And I think that's the hardest thing. You'll have to sleep with that at night one day, and you who knows? You're like, could I have been the next Ashley Cotwasser, right? Could I have been her? Because someone has to do it. So there's always going to be someone who's going to be the next like great one. Why can't it be you, right? What's keeping you from doing it? Is it purely just effort? Is that what it is? And you have to be honest with yourself. Oh, I'm really not giving myself the best opportunity to get that lucky. And you have to be honest with yourself on that if you're really, putting in the effort to get to that person. So it's got to be someone's got to be the next Miss Olympia. Someone's got to be the next rising star. Someone's going to be the next rising star in the next 10 years. Like, why can't it be you? And that's always ask them, what would keep you from that? And so if it's, if it's just effort, it would be nice to be able to, be 60 years old and be like, hey, I gave it my best and the best I could do was this, but at least I could say I gave it my best. At least I gave it my all.
No stone left unturned. And
then who knows where you'll end up, because you could end up in a crazy spot. You end up whatever. You end up like coaching like me, or end up with a gym, a posing business, a clothing line, because you gave your max effort on other things. I've seen bikini competitors get their pro card, never even compete in bikini, and open like huge clothing lines. You just never know what kind of doors will open for you when you give out your best.
Absolutely. This sport can be a gateway to many different avenues, and there's so many brands and companies associated with it. You'll find your way. I want to also piggyback of what you said, and I've been saying this a lot, especially in this last year. It's the statement that, hey, you look at us at the Olympia. Yeah, we look good. And just like I said to begin this podcast, we all worked really hard to get there. But just know, even the top of the top, we've all lost. You're going to lose if you haven't already. It's part of the process, but you got to learn. So if there's anything, if there is that thought holding you back, that like, what if I don't do well? We all haven't done well. Just know that. We've all had bad shows. It's all, no one's undefeated here. No one, not one soul. So again, I say, if you have not lost yet, I am sorry to say you will if you continue to compete, and it's part of the process. Just learn from it, but don't give up, because what if I gave up after getting 14th place in my height class at the Arnold Classic? What would happen? I'm sure most people, once they got 14th place, would think, well, it's not for me, or insert random excuse why I didn't win or something. Get rid of that mindset. Get rid of it, because we would not, the top Olympians would not be there today if they just quit because they didn't do well at a show or a few shows. It is a process. You have to climb for the most part. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll make a good jump to the top, a little jump. But even then, you make a jump to the top and you're a new pro. You still got to make another jump to then become one of the top pros. So don't expect to go from like A to Z in a year. There's levels to this, guys. So just know that.
Yeah, the levels are quite shocking too.
Yes.
It's like, NPC, jumped to the overall. Sweet, got the overall, got to the nationals. Got beat up. Next year at nationals, I got close. Next year at nationals, got my pro card. Oh, I'm a big star now. I got my pro card. Go to the pro show. Oh, dang, I got fifth call out. Yeah, I got fifth call out of that, 16th place. A year later, oh, gee, I got top 5 next year, first place. Got to the Olympia. Oh, sweet, I'm the Olympia. Worked for the rest of the year, trying to get to the Olympia. Dang, I got 16th place at the Olympia. 3 years in, I cracked top 10. Like, it's not fast.
It's not like the Cinderella like story of just, oh yeah, I put on a bikini one day and then stepped on stage, and then the next year Miss Olympia. It's not usually like that, guys. So if that's the fairy tale you're looking for, it doesn't really exist, but just don't give up.
In any
Please.
sport. And we should be
Yes.
clear, in any sport.
Any sport, anything.
Yeah, in any sport. It's so unlikely that it's gonna, I mean, now there might be that one girl that you might see that, oh, well, she did it. Yeah, there's gonna be that every, 5 years, decade, you might see 1, 2 girls kind of get there in like 2-year type thing. But it's pretty rare. It is pretty rare. And usually they have a background of like, oh, I did gymnastics, or I did, cheer or whatever, like some type of big athletic sport behind that before.
Yeah. And even then, even if they were doing good in the beginning, and let's say they got their pro card pretty quick, that doesn't even mean they're going to be a good pro. They could be like, oh man, I got a pro card really quick. I'm going to be an awesome pro. Come to turn out, like, you got to basically start your career all over, meaning you're starting from the bottom all over again, because now you are a small fish in a big pond, whereas before you're a big fish in a small pond. So just know that, especially from that amateur to pro transition, it might be shocking. Don't expect to get in that first call out if you're a new pro. If you do, good job, clap, clap. But it doesn't usually happen that way. So know that it is a process.
Yeah.
I think also we should mention that a lot of times what girls think is the beginning of their career is the end, because they do give up. Yeah. Because once they turn pro and they realize, oh, these girls are way better than me, and they get intimidated and just give up. So don't do that either. Just take your time.
I've had that happen a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah. It's definitely a punch in the gut to a lot of these girls who've just been, they go to their first show. Maybe they win their first SBC show. They win the overall the second time. They, go to the nationals. They get top 5. The next year they win it. And they're like, yeah, I'm just always used to doing well, and then you get to pro and you're like, dang, what happened? Like, I'm so far away. And people you just don't hear from them again. They just drop off. Like, they're just done. You try to, they don't get back to you, whatever. It happens, guys. It's a tough sport, and you're going to have to be tough. You're going to have to be mentally tough to be able to do this sport well, for sure. And it's a lot of this is like, I think that a lot of this it might come off as like, oh, woe is me. Right. But it's just, the reality is, all sports, anything that you want to do and get to the top at, especially these days, there's someone else that also wants to get to the top, and you have to fight them for it. You're going to have to fight them for it. You're going to have to outwork them, outsmart them, whatever. And eventually it's going to take time to do that, because if they're doing the same things you are. So, there's just, we have to, we call it day capturing. Just give your best every day, and you will get as far as you can if you give your best every day. That's really what it comes down to. So
absolutely. And at least with that, even if you don't do well and you give it your all, there's some satisfaction there, knowing that, hey, there's nothing else I could have done. Some of the shows that I did maybe not as well at, but I thought I give my all and I looked amazing, were some of my most proud moments, So don't even look at it just from a placing perspective, but look and see the improvements that you're making outside of a placing, because there is more to it than a placing. And do you realize this sport does mean different things to different people? So maybe someone's not necessarily like, oh, my goal is to get first place at this show. Maybe it's just to get on stage after taking a few years hiatus, or after having a kid coming back, or just getting into the best shape of their life. So we all have different goals, and just know that what you want has to align with the effort. So if you want to just, show up and check it off your bucket list, maybe you don't have to be as extreme as somebody that would want to, I'm only going to compete if I'm in the realm of getting first. So there's different, I guess, goals for different people. But if we're talking about pro, yes, this is, you're really going to have to dedicate a lot more than the average competitor.
Yeah. And that's something that I'm glad you bring that up too, because that's something that I'll tell my athletes as well, is hey, like, they'll say, when should I compete? I'll say, well, what do you want to do with this competition? Do you want to win the whole show? Is that what we're going for? Are you winning, like going for that and then going into nationals? Or are you just saying, are you cool with, hey, I look the part, I want to be top 5, and hopefully we get, a top 5? Like, which one are you going for? And I'll have them, and some of them are like, I just want to get up there and have fun and look the part though. I got to look the part. And I'm like, no problem. Let's do that. And then we can prep in, get ready in 6 months or something. And then some of them are like, I don't want to get on stage until I like slay the show and I walk home with the crown. And I'm like, well, it's going to take you like 18 months to get there. And then a lot of usually the response back from both of them is like, okay, that's fine. Like,
as long as you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong if you just want to, let's say, just not have expectations like, I'm looking for a top 5. This is my first show back in a year. Let's see how this first one goes and then go from there. There is no no negativity with that. I support that decision. Like, but just know the expectation needs to meet your effort. So
yeah, there's a couple guys that at least used to. I wonder if they still do it in Colorado. That they would do the same show every year, and they never tried to win or anything like that. They just said, "Hey, this is great because this show starts right when summer starts, and it gives me a time to like get dedicated and get shredded." A time-based goal to get lean for every summer, and it keeps me in check of getting too fat like the rest of the year. You know, so if I go 2 years, 3 years without doing a show, then I don't know where I'll be body fat wise. So this gives me a time every year.
That's a good point.
And I was like, that's so cool. He looked good. He looked good. He wasn't like, he's never going to win the show. He didn't care, but never going to win the show. But he was like, I look good every year and I'm happy. I'm ready for summer every year. And I was like, that's cool, man. That's a cool thing. You know?
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
I thought it was like so cool. Like he just says so nonchalant about it. He was just like, I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna do my best. Hopefully this year I could get, win a class or something. It's like, this is cool, man.
We don't expect people to be as hardcore, I guess, or serious about bikini as I am. I know that I'm not everyone's like, I think my life is awesome, but maybe someone thinks it's too much for them. I don't know. I think I'm living it up though. I'm living my dream right now. But I don't expect anyone to take it as seriously as me. Like, this is my thing. Yeah. I realize that. And I think people are sometimes shy to say this or afraid to say, I do take this seriously. This is my life. Is that crazy to say? Because I feel like you say that and somebody's like, but what about that? Yeah, I love this. I do it. I'm fully immersed in the sport. I'm just putting it out there. So I do take this more seriously than most people would. And I don't expect people to be as serious as me too.
You're not a casual.
Yes, I'm not a casual competitor. This is what I do for the past 10 years. So, just know that I don't ever have these expectations for others. But if you want to do it like me, this is what I do.
Yeah. This one was more geared towards people who say that, hey, I do want to be the next Ashley. I do want to be the next star or whatever. So it's not going to come from having the most balanced life, guys. It just, that's really what we're kind of target with this one. And it's going to take a lot of sacrifice it's just going to take probably more sacrifice than you're giving now for most of you. So, but you got to be honest with yourself. Do you really want that? Are you really willing to do what it takes to get that? Do you love it that much? That's the thing. When it becomes like Ashley does it, where she loves it so much, it doesn't feel like it's work and sacrifice.
No, I love my life.
Yeah.
I live it.
Yeah. And so what's funny is I tell people, I don't work as much as I used to anymore. I'm only doing like the efficiency of which I work, though, is probably still more than because I've just done it so long and so good at it. I think a lot of people would see my day and be like, that's a lot you do in that time frame. I'm like, yeah, I just done it for my whole life. So for me, it's easy, but it's like, it becomes more routine is what happens. And like yours is, if your life and you're like, oh, it's just chicken and working out. Like that sucks. Well, it's like, no, that's just what we do. It's just normal life. For her, it's not efforted. It's just daily.
I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Just carry on my happy little day. You know? So it is all about mindset and what you're willing to sacrifice. But I would also say, like, if you are truly in love with the sport, the work doesn't really seem like work to me. It really doesn't. So I think maybe on the outside looking in, it might look like, oh my God, what a life that girl has. My goodness, always prepping. But I don't feel the same strain as most people. And maybe it's because I love it, or just
it's because you love
my body is super okay with it.
I think it's because you love it, honestly.
But I just don't feel that same like I don't know. It's not miserable to me. I love this.
I haven't been able to that's the only thing I could come to a conclusion on after all these years is just like, how does she keep going? I'm like, because she just loves it so much. It's like, that's her passion. It's her daily, like she wakes up and has a fire under her every day about this sport. So it's just, that's, when you do something you love, you don't work a day in your life type of thing, like they say. And that's just what you do. It's the only thing that makes sense at this point. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong though. I have days where I'm not motivated and I'll be tired or cranky, but I have to realize and remember that this is a day out of a year. That's not a permanent thing. I get a good night's sleep tonight, wake up tomorrow, super motivated again. So during those times where I feel those motivational dips, I just keep in mind, again, the bigger picture. And I also remind myself, it's just a mood. Motivation, at the end of the day, it's a mood, kind of, I would say, right? Yeah. Could we classify motivation as a mood? I feel like
you can, right?
I don't know.
I'm not a psychologist, but I would say that. I think so.
It's kind of like a mood. Like I'm in a motivational mood, right? So if you're not motivated, just relax. get a good night's sleep. Maybe tomorrow you'll be a little more motivated. But even then, if that's not the case, you have to immerse yourself into the culture a little bit more. So that means, all right, you've been feeling unmotivated these last few weeks. Go to your local seminar, go to a show to watch. Worst case scenario, go on YouTube, watch the shows, interact with fitness people, go work out with your friends that are in fitness. Like, you have to kind of surround yourself with others that can kind of keep you motivated, keep you on track. Like I said, I'm not motivated every year or every day of the year, but at the end of the day, I realize it's a mood, just a moment in time.
And now that you say that, I'm actually looking up our next workshop.
Yes,
Our
I
next
believe
one.
March 15th.
Yep, that's what it is.
Wow,
I'm looking at it right
I'm
now.
so good at this.
You're really good at that. You keep me on track. I appreciate when you do that.
It's March
Yeah,
15th.
the last one was so fun. We had people from we stayed here. We did a bikini posing. It was like an hour and a half of bikini posing, and then after that, we did like another hour of, exercise mechanics, Q&A, going through some exercises, having people think about things a little differently in the gym, giving them some tips on that stuff. And then a couple hours after that, everyone left, did their thing. We all went for sushi, which I think we're going to do again. That was pretty fun. It actually worked out quite well.
I liked the spot, and I don't even like sushi, but it was good.
I didn't know they had those chicken breast skewers.
Those chicken breast skewers were bomb.
I'm so happy they have that as like an option for you.
And steak too. Steak skewers.
Yeah. So it was a really good option. And then we had people that were from the team and other people that weren't even from the team. There was I think 15-ish people.
Some people flying in from other states and everything.
Yeah. So the 15th will be a good one. Should be fun. We'll do it again. Thank you all. Yeah. Thank you all.
You're at the Contest Prep Center on the 15th, March 15th, Contest Prep Center, Las Vegas, Nevada. Address
1176 Vegas Valley Drive.
I gotta memorize it.
But also I gotta thank the Shoe Fairy. They gave us some shoes to give away.
Thank you, Shoe Fairy.
Also, we had we gave away a bunch of suits. We're gonna give away more suits at the next one on the 15th too. So yeah, come on out, guys. It's free. I just like to give back to the community that's given me so much. And Ashley is the same. I don't pay Ashley to do these seminars. She just does them because she loves doing them. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like all this, I think that shows the love, right? It shows how much you love the sport.
Yeah,
like you want to help people.
It gets me motivated too, though. See, just like I was saying, you have to kind of immerse yourself sometimes. So even now, I'm not competing. I won't compete till probably June-ish. But something that keeps me motivated in the meantime is these seminars. Yeah. So I'm not watching them. I'm helping with them. But for me, that's super motivated, and it gets me in the mood again. Yeah. And then we even had we had Laura come out, who's a pro. We had Tiana come out, and she's one of our opposing coaches. And Kimber was obviously came all the way from
4 houses down.
From 4 houses down.
4 houses down. And but they took on the beginners. Then we had the advanced people with me and Ashley, and it was just a fun day. It was a really good day. So anyway, with that, guys, I guess is that it? Is there anything else you want to say? Okay. Well,
thanks for tuning in, everyone, and don't give up.
Don't give up. You'll regret it.
Yes.
Yeah, you will. You might not in the short term, but in the long term, you will wonder what if. And there's nothing worse than the what ifs. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. There's nothing worse than that. So anyway, guys, thank you guys so much. As always, I'll talk to you next time.